Good morning, Carlos Baez. How you doing, brother?
Not much, man. Another early morning. Sorry
Hell
for
yeah.
the background. My son, he's a little bit irate this morning.
How old is he now?
Two.
Two. So you've been building this empire with your kid around as well, right?
Yeah, for somewhat. He's been there in the later years.
Yeah, yeah. So when do you start investing, Carlos?
Me and my wife, we started investing in 2012.
2012. That's about the same time I started. How many units are you up to?
49.
49.
45 apartments and 3 single families.
So 49 apartments, 3 singles. Yeah, I've
No,
got the same.
45 apartments and I think it's no 4 single families. I have 3 in Boston, 3 here up here in Randolph, Holbrook, and I have 1 in Florida.
It's easy to forget, right? You're like, oh yeah, I got one in Florida though. Not bad, man. So why one in Florida? Like you have 3 singles in Boston. What part of Boston?
We have 1 single in Randolph and 2 singles in Holbrook.
Nice. And that's how you started, right? You started with those singles?
No, I started with a condominium in Boston.
Okay. All right. So yeah, take me through it. How did you start? Like what made you say 2012, I'm going to get into real estate? Like what was that?
So my mom, she owned a 3 family and she bought in 2006 in Jamaica Plain.
Yep.
And me and my wife, we got together in 2009. And she always wanted to get into real estate. She always said that rentals is the way. And
Your wife is the one who was motivating you behind this, huh?
I always wanted to buy a multi because my mom did, but I wasn't that motivated. She was more motivated than I was.
Right.
Back then, I was more into cars than anything else.
It's true what they say. The right woman was behind every strong man is a strong woman, right?
Yeah.
Nice.
So when we got married in 2012, and the only way we can actually move out of our house was buying. We couldn't afford to pay rent.
Right. What was
but
rent?
We can afford to buy.
Right. And why was that? So you're in Boston, right?
Yeah. So the house we bought in Mattapan, so the rents back then for a 2-bedroom was around $1,200.
Yep.
And I was probably making $40,000 a year.
Yep.
At the time. And the party combined was like 50, 60. So I was probably making like 35. I wasn't making that much.
Right.
And then paying $1,200 in rent, you're not going to be able to pay rent and then save up to buy. It's impossible, especially if you're just trying to do it with a full time. I worked a ton of hours OT, and I was able to save up like $25,000.
Nice.
And she had her savings, and we found a condo. I called it the Golden Goose because this condo, we bought it for $95,000 in 2012. We put in $15,000 down payment.
Wow. Where was it?
In Mattapan.
Mattapan, yep. Yeah. But they call that Murderpan now.
Yeah, but it was in a good side.
Now it's Mattapan.
Yeah, it was right. It was right in the It was right when it connects to my house. My house was weird because across the street from my house,
yep,
would have been Dorchester, and the other side would have been Rosendale.
Got you.
All right. So I was right in like the edge.
Yep. Wow. So that was your first condo. You bought it for under $100,000.
Yeah.
And then what is that thing worth now? Just out of curiosity.
We sold it last year. We sold it in December 2019 for $230.
230. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. So, but that condo gave us cash. So we lived in it for around a year. Yep. And then we're like, you know what?
What was your monthly payment on that? Because you were saying rent would have been $1,200. What was your monthly payment on that?
With the condo fee, $600.
Yeah. So I'm selling right now. So in Fall River right now, I've got 23 of these condos that I'm selling for $100,000, and I keep telling people, I'm like, dude, like it's half of what your rent would be, right? These are 2 and 3 bedroom condos, right? Like your rent's gonna be $1,000, $1,200. You can buy the condo, have your fees in there, and still be paying less than what you're paying in rent.
And then
you're proof.
Yeah, when I bought my condos, we bought because I was a contractor work, so I do IT, so I've been doing IT for the past 10 years.
Nice.
And I was in a contract instead of full time.
Yep.
And I think that was one of the biggest mistakes we did. It was a mistake, but it wasn't as bad. We should have gone to like a 3-family.
Got you.
But I was the mindset you have back then is what if I lose my job?
Right.
And that mindset, like forced us to go into a condo instead of, something that's easier to pay out of pocket if worse comes to.
It was how you started. So it's not like you started this with all the things figured out. It's like you built the bike as you were riding it, right? Like Ron says it all the time. You're building the bike as you ride it. And that's what investing is.
And this one was weird because this condominium, the lady, like my mom, she was my realtor.
Yep.
And this lady would not pick up her calls. But then Yocasta will call and set up a meeting and wish you up with my mom because my mom will leave a message like a realtor. Oh, this is Jocelyn from Ultimate Realty. But then the lady wouldn't pick up the call. You have some of those agents that want to have dual commissions.
Yep.
And then Yocasta called herself and set up the meeting.
Yep.
And we showed up with my mom.
Just try to cut your mom out of it. Yep.
Yeah, so that's how we got into it. Like sometimes you may lose a deal. It's not your realtors first. Sometimes it is. You have lazy realtors, but sometimes it's not. But sometimes you just have to take things into your own hand to get the deal.
Yep. Sometimes it makes sense to go around the agent, which is crazy because as an agent, and you're an agent too. I'm always telling people like if you're an agent, like I have other agents sell my property because it keeps me out of the deal, right? It keeps it separate, keeps me out of the deal. But when it comes time to calling an agent to go and see a property, I absolutely do, because at the end of the day, I know how an agent thinks. And if they're trying to get their own client, they're not always, they're ethically and morally bound by the code to show everybody the property. And if they're doing their seller a disservice by not showing it to somebody who's coming with an agent, but they do it. And
I had one here, the last house I bought in December. This one, the lady would not show the house to me. I was living in Florida, but I'm a Massachusetts real estate agent. And I was buying, and she would not show the property. So Yocasta was in Boston. She called like, "Oh, can I see the property?" She went and seen it. Yep. And then I put the offer. The lady didn't think I qualified because I'm putting a blind offer. I'm not really putting a blind offer. That's what she thought. My wife seen the property.
Yeah.
But sometimes it sucks when you have these realtors that just want to do a commission, and then that will stall the sale for the seller. That affects more the seller than anyone else because they're trying to get rid of the property. The longer the agent takes to sell, the more losses they have.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And
especially if it's empty.
We don't buy houses that aren't taking losses, right? We only buy houses that are taking losses. So I love that. So why? I think I know your answer why, but your multis are in Fall River. Your singles are in Boston. Why did you just buy your singles? Right. So actually, before we get that, continue this step on how you bought all these.
So after my condo,
you bought a single family.
No, I bought a 3-family.
You bought a 3-family.
So what happened? I lived in a condo for a year. Then we moved into my in-laws for I think it was 8 months to save up money. The condo was rented for $1,200, so it was making $600 monthly cash flow.
Yep.
So we bought a 3-family.
Nice.
That one we did FHA. We bought it for $500,000 in 2014. So 2 years after we bought the condo.
Yep.
And then we lived in it for a year.
Yep.
Because living with tenants sucks.
It can.
We were living rent free. The house paid itself and had money left over, but we had people knocking on our doors to change light bulbs. That's how bad it was.
Yeah.
And it's like, we understand you have issues, but really, you're really knocking on our door to change a light bulb.
Yeah, it's definitely all about how you build a relationship with tenants. I've got the most amazing tenants. They would not call me for a light bulb, but it's in the beginning of the game. I'll be honest. My first 3-family, I lived in it, and I got those stupid ass requests of, "Hey, can you change my light bulb? Hey, can you plunge my toilet?" I was like, "Fucking no! I'm gonna call an electrician or a plumber. Like, don't call me, right? Like, don't knock on my door." That's what pissed me off. Like, don't knock on my door. Shoot me a text, right? Like, have some respect, And it's because of the way I acted in the beginning of the game, where I was there so much, offering so much, instead of just saying like, if the light bulb goes out, by the way, you fix the fucking light bulb.
Yeah, and people understand, like, when I bought that 3-family, it was $500,000. Everyone's saying you're crazy, you're buying it too high.
Yeah.
Don't try to guess the market. That's what I say. At the moment, the numbers made sense. If the numbers make sense for you at the moment, it doesn't matter how high. Most of the deals I bought was in 2018, 2019, when everyone's saying that's the highest it's been.
Yeah, same here.
So if the numbers make sense, jump on it.
Tell me, Carlos, you weren't buying thinking the market's going down any day, right? Like the whole time.
I don't care about if the market goes down. I'm a buy and hold investor. I don't flip.
Exactly.
If you're a flipper, then you have to really time the market. But I don't flip.
Yep.
I hope I can hold all my properties forever.
I love it. And that's how we buy, right? We know every time we look at a property, hey, market could crash tomorrow, right? Every time we look, it's like, well, could be tomorrow, right? So does it cash flow? So we're not looking at the appreciation play.
No,
we're looking at
the appreciation is they call it the icing on top.
Icing on top.
The sprinkle. You know, it's just a little extra. That three family showed me a lot how to be a landlord.
Yeah.
I tell everyone who asks me, I have a lot of people ask me, should I buy multi-family? Like, I would recommend if you're gonna go into rentals, buy a 3-family and live in it and manage it yourself. Learn how to be a property manager.
Yep.
Before you hire a property manager.
Exactly. Now I'm all about scale. I'm all about using a property manager. I genuinely do.
I'm same here. I don't manage my forward property.
We use the same property manager.
Yeah.
But in the beginning, like that first 3-family helped you learn, what conversations to have with your property manager, what they're doing, what they're not doing. And like without that, you don't think you'd be where you are today.
No, and I had I had to live in hell with that 3-family. We put our first tenant in, second tenant in there, and we didn't do the proper background checks in it. It bit us in the ass. We had a 2 years litigation.
Oh, no way.
We didn't lose money like rent, but we lost a lot of money on going to mediation and court and legal fees. And every time I go with my lawyer, it's $200 an hour.
Wow. Yeah, I don't like sending the attorneys unless it's an eviction. If it's a straight up eviction, like whatever, send the attorney. We know they're in and out of court in 2 hours, we're fine. But if it's like a big litigation with, so what was it? The
non-pay
tenant or
professional tenant?
No way.
Professional tenant, non-pay. My lawyer, she's amazing.
What market was this? What
Boston.
city? So what city was it?
Mattapan.
Mattapan. Was that the
my 3-family was about 2 blocks away from my condo.
Got you. So you started in Mattapan, you were expanding in Mattapan, made sense. Yeah, Boston has professional tenants. Like we don't see them down.
I don't see any in Fall River. They show up, but they're not professional. Trust me, they don't know the dog.
They try to play the game, but like Boston knows what they're doing.
Yeah, like she would call the city on me and break stuff just to say, oh, they never fixed it, even though she's the one who broke it. It was that type of professional.
Down here, people have respect, right? Like I'll be real. Like everybody talks like, oh, Boston's a nicer place, but when it comes to tenants, our tenants here, they just have respect. Like they're just like, hey, I work for my money. I put it in. Now sometimes they don't pay, and we handle that. But in Boston, it's the same thing, right? Except that there's just more people, and there's more people who figure out the game. That's what the difference is.
Yeah, bro, it's crazy. She used the RAF program twice from the city. That was $8,000 twice.
How do you get RAF twice?
Yeah, she used it to call professional tenant. And then when my lawyer looked at it, because like I said, at the time we didn't know. I didn't hire a lawyer to do background check. When she looked her up, the lady had 8 evictions. She even got evicted by Eversource, which I didn't know a utility company could evict you.
Wow, dude.
Yeah, it was insane.
That's nuts. So how did you end up getting rid of her?
The best trick in the book when you're evicting a tenant that just wants to use the system to pay, you take it to court to take ownership back of your property. You give them a 60-day notice of you want to take ownership, not non-pay, because non-pay puts you in mitigation. You say, I'm 60-day notice, I'm non-renewal, I just want to take ownership back of our property, and that's what you end up doing. Yeah.
So the professional tenant, that's exactly the same thing that we've always done. I agree with you. We give them a 30-day notice to quit. Yep. We say, look, we want possession. And that's worked for us always, right? As soon as we get the feeling that a tenant is being shady or a tenant's, not looking to, they're looking to play the game. And I find it, and Carlos, let me know if you notice this, in conversations that are completely unrelated to rent. There'll be a conversation with the tenant and they'll say something like, oh, well, that person's just out to take advantage, or, oh, I did this and I got to go with this little extra thing. Like they're telling you about how they took advantage of the system. And I hear that from a tenant and I'm like, oh, all right, that it sits in the back of my head. I don't forget it, right? I don't forget it. And then when I see them pay rent and not pay rent, and they say, hey, I could call the city. And they have those little pieces in the head where they're like, oh, they know the system. They get off on taking advantage of things. It's like, you know what? Don't 14-day them. That's a 30-day. Just get rid of them.
I do 60 because I noticed in Boston. On Fall River, you're lucky if you can get to district court and not housing court. But in Fall River and then in Boston, it's always housing court.
Right.
And in housing court, when you give 30-day, then they give them extension. When you give them a 60-day and you show to the housing court, the judge's like, I can't do anything. They give you enough time. Yeah,
and here's the thing. I give them a 30-day, and a lot of times they're out in 2 weeks. Sometimes they're out before we even get to court. Like down
noticed
here,
that in Fall River.
But in Boston, it's like if you don't give them a 60-day, you're an asshole.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm telling you, it's pro-tenant. Housing court is 100% pro-tenant, and that's one of the things I don't like about Massachusetts. I was born and raised here. Thing is,
it's like
I understand back in the 80s, probably those slumlords, but not everyone's a slumlord. People try to take care of property, and you can't have the leverage is always pointing at the tenant. The tenant has more power than the owner.
Right. In some cases, I mean, like I said, down here, we've got the game on the other side because we're next to Rhode Island, right? Rhode Island has totally different rules. But yeah, Massachusetts, the center, Boston area, because Worcester's more like the outskirts as well. I mean, you get away with stuff in Worcester and Springfield, but Boston, yeah, it's a tough market. It's definitely a tough market. I look at it, and every so often we look at it for the appreciation play, right?
Yeah, I made it. So even cash flow, I made a good cash flow and appreciation at the same time. Like my 3-family, when we moved out, because we bought to continue, when we moved out, my 3-family, we lived in it for a year, and then we was gonna buy a 2-family. So I had the strategy was I was gonna refinance my condo, take the money out of there, pay down my 3-family, get a refinance that, get it out of FHA to conventional, and then use FHA again to buy a 2-family.
Yes.
But my condominium, the appraisal came out too low. So what we ended up doing was buying a single just to get out of it in Randolph, and we rented out the whole building.
Right.
That building, the new owner, he converted that building. So we moved out. We have 3 tenants now. The cash flows around $2,000, $2,500 a month.
Nice.
And it appreciated. I sold that one, the 3-family. I sold in 2018 for $780.
Nice. So I appreciate over $200,000. And you said cash flow $2,000 a month. What was your gross rent on that?
Gross rent was $6,000.
Nice. Absolutely. Yeah, and that's what I found. And so for anybody paying attention, we typically cash flow about 1/3 when we carry our mortgage, right? We carry our mortgage. We typically cash flow around 1/3. And everybody looks at all the checks we're taking in, and they're like, "Oh my God, you're making a lot of money." It's like, hold on, like this is rental property, right? Like, rental property.
If you have a mortgage and you're in a large multifamily, your numbers is probably 150 to 200 per unit.
Yeah,
that's what people understand, because you have to take in consideration repairs, capex. When you have to, like, I took over a building last year that had to replace the roof, renovated all five floors, all apartments were renovated, the roof was replaced, and I had to replace a few boilers in the basement.
Oh, yeah. That was a 6-family, right?
5-family.
5-family, yeah. Yeah, it's a lot.
And that's what I buy in Florida. I buy only 5 families and above. I don't buy anything smaller than 5. Because the numbers in the smaller doesn't make sense because I'm competing with FHA buyers.
Yeah, I did the math last night, and on the 2 families, right? If you look at per unit cost, on 2 families, you're looking at $125. If you look at 3 families, you're looking at $100,000 a unit. You start looking at the 4 families, you get down to $80,000 a unit. You start looking at 5s, it's $65,000 a unit, right? The 5s and the 6s, you're paying $65,000 a unit. It's like, okay, like why would I buy anything else when you're looking for cash flow, right? Because the rent is the same in a 6 as it is in a 3.
I think the good thing about us is if you have experience, you can't easily just go and get a commercial loan.
Nah. And that's the benefit that keeps the guys who shouldn't be in the game out of the game. It keeps that, because the only thing stopping you from getting a commercial loan is you've owned real estate before, right? If you've owned real estate before and
rentals,
currently own it and it cash flows, you can get a commercial loan. If you don't, you can't start there. It's that's the business, right? You have a little bit of experience, your property cash flows well. The bank says, sure, let's go do it again. So now you're in. Yeah, go ahead.
No, but then they also look at, how are you going to, what are your numbers?
Exactly.
What are you projecting for this property? If you give just a fake number, they're gonna read it quick.
The bank has seen it before. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And
it's
then
a different game.
yeah, so that property was cash flowing. I still had a few litigations on that one, but we took care of. But that one, that the walk of my Stella, my condo, never gave me any issues. I think I had one call out of the
You call
7 years I've owned
you call your condo Stella?
Stella, yeah, cause the street.
All right.
I call my property by street.
Got you.
Except
Yep.
for two, the one I own with Carlos, I call it like the big street 9, and then the other one the smaller, because I own two properties on the same block.
Yep. I've done that. So now you're going through and you start picking up property in Boston. You go into a single family home. How did you end up getting into Fall River? How did you go from Boston to Fall River? What was that jump?
So what happened was, after I bought my single family home where I'm living, the following year I bought another single family. I refinanced my condo, cashed out, and I bought another single family.
Yeah.
So that's my condo's already buying me another house, and it's still cash flow. Still at that time it was cash. It was rented for $1,900 a month, and it was cash flowing around $1,000 a month.
Right.
So the condo's just amazing, and it doesn't give me any issues. I don't have to worry about common areas because the association takes care of that. It's just It's awesome. And then we bought a single family. I rent to my in-laws in Randolph. And then right after I bought the single family, I met you, Marcos, about the Brockton deal.
Yep.
And that's when we started looking at the large multifamily. But I was hesitant to
There's 18 units or 24 units.
I think it was a 24 unit building. It was a 21 unit. I think it was like 20 units, and then 2 6 families.
That's right. The other 2 6
families. Seller financing.
Yeah.
I think we made a big mistake with that seller finance. We didn't take in consideration what the seller wanted. So we were just thinking about ourselves instead of trying to give the best deal for the seller that we're all happy.
Dude, we could have done that so different, man. We could have done that so
different. You look back now, it's like we did it bad.
I look at that deal and I'm like, shit, like 3 smart guys. You know, we were all sitting there, 4 of us. We had Marcus in there too. And we were looking at it like, man, like we were just trying to take advantage of him. And that's why the deal didn't work for us. But if we look at that the way we know how to do a deal now, he would have been happy. We would have closed it. We would have been sitting on 24 units in Brockton that would have appreciated on a crazy level.
It was 1.1 million. It would have sold right now for like 3.
Yeah, that would have been a cash me out now. Let's all walk away with over $250,000, probably closer to 300,000. Like, please.
It would have been an amazing deal.
Yeah.
And then so that deal fell through, and then that was in 2017, I think it was. And then 2018, I hit up Carlos, because Carlos is a good friend of mine for many years. I've known Carlos for about 25 years. I'm like, we should buy a 3-family in Brockton. This dude brought this buy a 3-family, because I had my loan guy. And then we're looking at it, and then we met a realtor in Brockton. I forgot his name, Mark. This dude has all the Brockton listings. That's like, he has all of them. And I'm like, he was telling me, you guys should look at 5s and 6s. I'm like, yeah, but how tough is to get a commercial loan?
Carlos, I just realized what time it is. We got 3 minutes for my next call. We gotta speed through this. I'm sorry, man. I have so much fun when I talk to you.
No, so I got I spoke with Ton about a commercial loan, and that's why I got the commercial loan. Then that's when I hit you up, like, bro, Walter, what do you think about Fall River? I want to buy a 6-family.
Yep.
And we bought the 6. I sold my 3-family. And with my 3-family, I did 1031 exchange, about 21 more units, to cut the story short.
I love it.
So in 2 years, I've done 45 units in Fall River. But you have to use line of credits. You have to use all these tricks to get the cash.
Yeah. Seller financing, line of credit, subject to, do whatever it takes to get into the property and then figure it out later, right? As long as the cash flows, right? As long as you can hold it forever that way.
I've seen deals that I've been working on where I have the seller I'm trying to have the seller do the down payment.
Yeah.
Finance. Seller finance down payment.
Yep.
And then
seller
finance
bring the down payment, and then you hard money the rest or finance the rest. Like, dude, there's so many options.
I spoke with Eastern Bank, and one of the deals that they said, if there's enough equity, you can, and there's no work to do, you can buy the building with no down payment.
Right.
because they do a loan to value. I think it was 75%.
Exactly.
You
Yeah,
don't even
there's
need a
still
down
options.
payment.
So, Carlos, real quick, 3 pieces of advice for new investors looking to get in the game right now. What 3 pieces of advice would you give them?
Don't worry about crashes right now. Run the numbers. The numbers will tell you if it's a good deal or not. Just run the numbers and don't be casual about running the numbers. You have to be really conservative because you make the money when you buy, not when you sell.
Absolutely. I love that.
Get a good realtor. Work with Gualter. He's a realtor.
There you go.
Or Gualter's people.
Work with my people.
I don't do that much deals like real estate. I don't use my license that much. I mostly use it when I buy because I have a full-time. Don't quit your full-time job either. Once you have like 10 units, don't quit your full-time job. That's your fine. That's what keeps you qualified.
Yeah. It's tempting. Don't do it. It's tempting.
Gualter, how hard is it to get qualified without that full-time job?
Dude, you can't. You can't. Like even commercials like, are you sure though?
Yep. Well, don't quit that job. And then network. Talk to as many people as you can. You're not gonna know. You will never believe the deals you can find with some people.
Yep.
Because you never know. Like they might be a wholesaler out the blue, and they say, "Hey, Carlos, I have a deal."
Yep, that's right. And it's just from networking, having conversations.
And if you're gonna do, and also give value to whoever you're making deal, to whoever you network with.
Yeah.
You want to be valuable to them, and vice versa.
I love that, man. I got to close this out. Carlos Baez, how can people get in touch with you to learn more about your store and what you've been up to?
So you can hit me up on Facebook on this facebook.com. I think it's /cbaez07, or you can Facebook for the moment. Yeah, I'm working on a few projects, but Facebook is the best way you can contact me. I watch all my messages there. It's easier.
Absolutely. That's how we communicate most of the time anyway.
Yeah.
All right, brother. When you have a choice, always work with the best. I'll see you this Saturday, 10 o'clock. Later, Carlos.
Awesome. Talk to you soon, Walter.
Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.